Okay, so let me see. Oh, there we go. Hi, Rebecca. Are you able to?
Hello.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, all good, all good.
Good. So Rebecca's only with us for a few minutes.
Okay.
I'll introduce myself first, and then Rebecca, I'll give you the floor. And probably if you could, since you're sitting in Switzerland, if you could give us, a little bit of an update, and then yes, as you feel free, you can leave the call. I know there was a mix up in dates, so I apologize for that. But thank you for making the time and being here. So welcome everyone to the session today. My name is Shanice Francis, and I am the Regional Recruitment Manager for EU Business School. EU Business School has an institution is based out of 3 different locations in Europe. So we have the Geneva campus in Switzerland, the Munich campus in Germany, and the Barcelona campus in Spain. And we're here specifically to concentrate on the Geneva campus in Switzerland. And I requested Rebecca to join me since she's the head of sales in Switzerland. The head of academics, admissions in Switzerland, and she has a lot more insight as well into the country and into the city of Geneva. And she does interact with students as well. So Rebecca, I'll leave the floor open to you, and then I can start off with my presentation.
Sure. Well, first of all, thanks, Shanice, for the introduction, and thanks everyone for having me today. It's true, actually, that as director of admissions, I actually do wear many hats, and I do oversee our Barcelona and Munich campuses as well. But I'm based in Geneva campus. I work very closely with our students here, so I'm really thrilled to be able to talk to you all a little bit more about Geneva as a city specifically and our campus here, and really what we have to offer our students, because I think it's something quite special. Of course, all of our EU campuses are amazing. You'll get a great education and experience, but I'd like to talk about, I think, what sets Geneva a little bit apart. And to start, to just give you a little bit of a background, our Geneva campus is actually one of our founding campuses of EU Business School. So from the very beginning, 50 years, woohoo, this year, we are celebrating. But basically, Geneva is a city that really has a very interesting intersection of international, right? So everyone's heard the UN and all of these international organizations, the Red Cross, the things that Geneva is quite well known for. But we also have a very strong finance sector, a very strong service sector. We have a lot of other elements, and I think this sometimes surprises people about Switzerland. This is not what they're expecting to hear, that supply chain management is a really big topic here, that we have many European and international shipping companies with their headquarters here. So I think what's really important, one of my takeaway for you all today is really there's a lot more to Geneva than first meets the eye. There's a lot more happening here. Geneva manages to kind of have its fingers in all these different sectors, to have so much going on, but at the same time, it remains a relatively small city. So we're talking 300,000 people in Geneva. That's pretty small considering everything that happens here. And what's great about that for our students is there's a level of access that you don't find in other cities. What I mean by that is that your networking capabilities are exponentially wider in Geneva, because at every event you go to, the head of so-and-so, or this person is here, or this is here. It's not a city like Frankfurt or, even New York City, Manhattan, where it's so big, there's so many layers. No, in Geneva, just by showing up to an event at the United Nations that's open to the public, you can actually meet some really influential people. EU Business School has really successfully tapped into that network. We have done so by our partnership with the Geneva Chamber of Commerce. We are the only educational institution that serves in this capacity. So we often host leadership conferences with them. We're really tapped into the business network in Geneva. And our careers counselor, Joanna, uses that network to help our students, help connect them to internships. So that's a big way we're connected with the business community. We also have a lot of ties to the international organizations. Our students are doing internships with the United Nations, primarily in the summer, but not exclusively. And it doesn't stop at the United Nations. The United Nations has spawned kind of this whole network of international organizations and even nonprofits that actually work in partnership with the United Nations. We have actually several alumni now that have done internships with Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, and have gone on to work in positions there, have moved all over the world, have stayed in Geneva. We've had other students that have worked with a nonprofit called Impact. So Impact looks for ways to leverage development funds and to better channel them. So these are just a couple of examples of the world in Geneva actually really being quite diverse. So there's really something for everyone here, no matter what your interest area, no matter what your business, is. If you're an entrepreneur, Switzerland's a great place for entrepreneurs. It's really easy to found your own startup. That's one thing. But then we've got this international community. We have this service sector here. We have shipping. We even have now everything is around Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Geneva's playing a big role as well. Last but not least on this topic, I'd also just like to, I'm sure some of you have probably heard about the recent acquisition of Credit Suisse by UBS. These are the two biggest banks in Switzerland. This is a huge news that's been happening here, but I'd like to point out that while it's been in the news, while it's been in discussions, while it's something that our professors are talking to students about, kind of the ins and the intricacies, in Switzerland, it's been a really stable process. And that's the last point I wanted to highlight, is because of the stability in Switzerland, because of the stability of the financial markets, because of the stability of salaries, because of life here being quite a high quality, it's a really safe place, and I mean that in every sense of the word, in fact, to come to explore the job market, to do an internship, to live here because of that stability. I mean, this is a huge merger that just happened, and everyone in Switzerland's like, yep, okay, great, what's next? And I think that really highlights how privileged we are to have our campus here, to have our students kind of engage in that. So that's always a point I want to highlight as well. Shanice, was there something else you wanted me to touch on a little bit too? I can talk on other topics. I can take questions. However you want to do it, I'm here.
Yeah, I think, the major concern that a lot of people have, in case there are any questions, please do put them in the chat box. But I know when I talk to students or counselors talk to students, I think the major concern that people have is really there being no stay back option. So if a student is coming in for a one-year master's or MBA student, how do they utilize their time in order to prepare themselves for the job market and as well study in that 1 year and complete their program and be able to secure at least an internship, or a part-time job post completion of the program?
It's a great question, and it's definitely a concern that's shared by many students. And that's why I really highlighted the fact of the accessibility of Geneva. Believe it or not, and I know a lot of people are not going to believe this, we actually have more internship positions available than students who want to take them. That's how much is happening here in Geneva. What I advise our students, say the 1 year master, for example, is to meet, actually, the goal should be to book an online appointment with Joanna Layuka, our careers counselor, as soon as possible. As soon as you're a confirmed student at EU Business School Geneva, you book that appointment with her because she can start already getting your CV in her head, meeting you, understanding a little bit about your professional goals, your educational goals. What that means is she can start helping you find the perfect internship even before you arrive in Geneva. And this is what I was saying is one of the things that makes EU Business School Geneva campus so unique. We're smaller. We have a staff that can provide very personalized attention. So Joanna can meet with you even in advance of you coming to Geneva. You can already start that relationship with her. She can already start forwarding you various internship ideas and offers. As soon as you're in Geneva, you can start going to different events that we have here. We have a couple of students right now in our MBA and master where they literally any event they can, they sign up for. They're all free. They go to them. Their links are constantly being passed around and being posted. They're out there, they're networking, they're doing whatever they can. And beyond that, it's good for them professionally. So my first piece of advice, take advantage. We are here for you. We offer this service for you. As soon as you're a confirmed student at EU Business School, we're basically all at your disposal. So use us in the kind of the most blunt way to say that. That's number one. And number two, I would say, is that a lot of our students, so you can hold an internship while studies are in progress. That's a part-time internship. During the summer, that can be a full-time internship, full 40 hours a week. Paid is totally fine as well. What we also recommend to our students is to think about perhaps pausing a term. That's a thing you can do too. You can take one term sabbatical from your studies to complete an internship that might be happening during the school year. Because what happens is that the summer intern has become so ubiquitous, and there's so much competition in the summer, but interns are needed year round. And so something that's really important that our careers counselor always points out is, we are flexible. We can work with you. If you need to take a quick pause, if you need to drop a couple of your classes in order to realize that dream of that internship, that's definitely something we can work out between myself, academics, and careers. So that's also something to bear in mind too. You'll find there's a lot of internship availability throughout the academic year where you have fewer students that are able to take on those roles. So it's not easy. There is competition out there. It's true that we don't have the stay back option. However, I have several examples of students, they get that internship, they really wow the people in their organization, and that paves the way for that organization to perhaps sponsor them for a real job, for a more permanent position after graduation. And this has happened in many occasions. I've seen it. What the students need to do is prove themselves during that internship experience, show how invaluable they are to the organization. And I think the first step is really finding that perfect internship. And that's really where Joanna, like I said, get in touch with her as soon as possible, let her get to know you so we can really make that perfect match far in advance.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Rebecca. I'm going to let you go for now, but yeah, if there's any questions that may be directed to you, maybe I can write you an email.
Yes.
And you can respond to that, but I think I have it from here.
Yeah. And I can drop it in the chat if you want me to put my email in the chat. I'm happy to do that as well. And I'm really sorry I can't stay longer with you all today. I just have an outside appointment, but I'm very available. Shanice will tell you. I'm happy to participate in Zoom calls or anything you need. If you have questions, please don't hesitate. But Shanice is excellent. She went here on our Geneva campus. She can tell you all you need to know about Geneva. Shanice is really the expert. So
Thank you so much, Rebecca.
No problem.
Again, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.
You too. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was Rebecca with all of us. And, I just wanted to get, sort of let you hear it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, and give you an idea, or give you all an idea of what Geneva is like, especially from an economic perspective, as well as a job perspective, because that's mostly the questions that we get from students when we talk to them about Switzerland. So I'm going to take you through a presentation. We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about the city, about accommodation, about the programs, where the students are going to live, as well as the visa procedure. So our campus is located, so this is the iconic picture of Geneva, because you have the Jado in the center, which is the highest fountain in the world. It was actually created as a tourist attraction for Geneva. But now Geneva has much more to offer in terms of touristy attractions. You have CERN, you have the UN, the WHO, that people can visit. That you have the Old Town. We also have the longest bench in Europe, which is actually in Geneva, which is in the Old Town itself. So a lot of history, a lot of architecture, and of course the international organizations, the financial institutions as well. This is actually, if you look at this picture, we're actually backing our campus, so you can't really see the campus building from where we can see this picture, but I do have pictures of the campus, which I will show you. Switzerland itself is a very small country. And obviously we share borders with, with Germany, with Italy, with France, and a little bit of our border as well with Austria. So Geneva is located on, is a city which is very close to the French border. And there are people that actually cross over the border and stay on the French side of Switzerland. So they stay in a city called Annemasse, and they actually travel into Geneva every day to work or to study. Unfortunately for our students, because our students are going to be in Geneva, and because we're not, these are not European students, the students will have to stay in Geneva itself. But the good thing is that you can access France in terms of grocery shopping, for example, or to go and, a sort of have a cheaper fun experience, for example, in a video parlor, for example, or if students want to go bowling, but mostly for grocery shoppings, the students cross the border over into Annemasse to buy their groceries because it's slightly cheaper than Geneva and Switzerland in general. So in terms of, I don't know what happened over here. Just a second. Okay, so yeah, why Switzerland? Switzerland's obviously known for a lot of things, but it's rated as having the strongest education system in the world by the Economic Forum. Swiss stands for quality. Anything coming from Switzerland obviously stands, with a lot of quality. We think about chocolates, we think about cheese, but it stands for much more. It also stands for education. You have a lot of institutions that are ranked very highly, and EU Business School is one of them that's ranked very highly in the world, based on the fact that it's also out of Switzerland. It's a very safe country. This is one of the main reasons that students actually choose Switzerland and choose Geneva as a city to pursue their education, because it's a safe country to live in. You have the regular, I would say, security systems and accommodations, but overall, it's a very safe space. I think if you leave your bag on a tram, there is a 98% chance of you getting it back with all your cards and all your money back in with it. So that's how safe the city is, and that's how trustworthy the people are as well. It's top in the world when it comes to innovation as well. For the last 10 years, Switzerland as a country has been ranking top in terms of innovation. You've got a very, very international population as well, because of organizations like the UN, the WHO, the ILO. You have a lot of I would say international communities. You have, the Europeans, you have Asians, you have Africans, you have people from the States as well, and different parts of the world living in Switzerland because of consulates being present, because of representatives being present from each country. And there's a lot happening internationally, and there's a lot of international recognition, as well as people that interact with other communities, and there's a good mix of the community as well over there. We've got a strong currency. So currently the Swiss franc is quite strong. It's really overtaking the euro in terms of its strength. And that's exactly why Switzerland has not been affected by the inflation. So the inflation has not really affected Switzerland because the Swiss franc is only growing stronger by the day. Whereas in other parts of other parts of Europe, it has been affecting people. The inflation has been affecting people because of the drop in strength of the euro. It's located in the heart of Europe. Of course, amazing views. Geneva itself is surrounded by a mountainous region, so there are a lot of activities. Skiing, especially, is an important part of a life of a person living in Switzerland. There are a lot of hikes as well. So Geneva, again, has a lot to offer, and it's got the highest quality of life in the world, definitely. And that goes without saying. That's a very common factor known about Switzerland. And I think it's very fair as well, because people also, unlike in India, where everyone gets fined the same amount for wrongdoing, Switzerland actually fines people based on their salaries. That's something that most people didn't know, and I didn't know until I lived in Switzerland. But a professor did tell me about this, saying that you get fined basically according to your salary, which is an interesting aspect as well. Just taking you forward into the campus. So as Rebecca rightly mentioned, Switzerland has been, the foundation of EU Business School. It's where we started, and Geneva has been at the heart of this as a city and has a campus. However, we did move into a new campus, a bigger campus in 2020 itself, 2020 January, just before the pandemic hit us. We had a ground floor, entrance to the building. We've got, the reception area, the academic areas to the right-hand side as well. We've got a hangout spot for students, where they can sit, they can chat. We've got a foosball table, and we've got a pantry area in case students bring food from home and they want to heat it up. And of course, the classroom sizes, as you will notice, are much smaller. So a normal classroom size at our other campuses would be a maximum of 30 students. In Geneva, we try to limit it to 15 to 20 students on a maximum basis. So that's a little bit about the campus itself. We have the accreditations. So we have 3 different accreditations. One is the ACBSP, which is the American accreditation. The IACBE is the European accreditation, as well as the IQA-Siemens. And the EDIQA is a mark of Swiss quality granted to us by the Swiss government. And that basically holds us in high regard. And our programs are delivered as per the Swiss quality as well. We do, however, have partner programs. Our partner programs is what where our degrees are from. So we have the UCAM program, which is a Spanish accredited program, wherein we offer our master's, MBA, and our bachelor programs. And we have our top-up programs offered with University of Derby, London Metropolitan University, as well as Dublin Business School. In terms of our bachelor programs, we have 2 different types of bachelor programs. So we have one which is by the University of UCAM, which is the bachelor's with 7 different specializations. And students mostly choose one of the specializations, or they go into the general bachelor's program, which is the Bachelor's of Business Administration. The program is 3 years with 6 semesters. And what is good to know in terms of the structure of the program is that the first year is general management courses, and from the second year onwards, students go into their specialization. So a bachelor in business administration student can either continue with the general administration courses, or they can go into a specialization. So there is a possibility of changing the specialization after the first year. The BA Honours in Business Management is with the University of Derby, which is a UK accredited program. And here again, you have 3 years with 6 semesters. And we have a few more interesting specializations like business technology, supply chain and logistics, HR management, enterprise, finance, marketing. These programs, depending on the number of students that we have available for them, are open, but if there are not enough of students pertaining to a particular specialization, then we don't always have these programs open. So the simplest thing for you all as counselors to do is to really promote the bachelor's program in one of these specializations at a UCAM level. Business finance is a very interesting stream in Geneva, as well as international relations because of all the international organizations available. Leisure and tourism management, Switzerland, as we know, is very, very famous for its tourism sector. And of course, there are a lot of Indians that travel to Switzerland on a yearly basis, definitely to see Switzerland, and especially with the Bollywood influence as well. Switzerland is very popular in the eyes of an Indian. From an admissions requirement, we require the high school mark sheets of the student, the proof of English proficiency. So that's either the IELTS, TOEFL, even Duolingo. So IELTS is 6, TOEFL is 80, and Duolingo would be approximately about 100. Overall is the score that we're looking for. 2 letters of recommendation and an essay. We have a 5-topic essay, and students need to write an essay on one of the 5 topics. We also have the master's and the MBA programs. We have only these 2 programs available at the Geneva campus. The master's and the MBA have 3 intakes. So we have the October, January, and the March intake. The master's program is a specialization focused program. So if a student wants to go in for the master's in marketing, they will only be doing marketing related courses. Whereas with the MBA, it is a program where you have, again, 3 semesters. It's 1 year, but the first 2 semesters, you have general management courses. And in the last year, you focus on the specialization, which can be international marketing, leisure and tourism management, sports business, human resource management, or even blockchain management. The blockchain management, interestingly, started off at the Geneva campus. we did conduct a summer blockchain management a program, which ran for 8 weeks. And based on the feedback that we got from students, based on the enthusiasm because of the crypto market and because of Bitcoin, we got a lot of enthusiasm, and that's how the blockchain management program came into being. And I think that speaks volumes about how we're moving forward with, with times, and how we are including courses based on what the market demands and what students are really looking for, based on the growing market as well. From an admissions criteria, we're really looking at the bachelor degree and mark sheets, proof of English proficiency. Again, we're accepting IELTS, TOEFL, Duolingo, as well as PTE. The IELTS overall score requirement is 6.5, TOEFL will be 89, and Duolingo will be 110. Copy of the CV, 2 letters of recommendation, and an essay. We do not require GMAT or GRE, and we do not require any work experience for the master's or for the MBA program. So a little bit more, diving a little bit more into Geneva, we have 119 financial institutions, 200 diplomatic missions, of obviously the headquarters to the UN, the WTO, WHO, and the Red Cross, as well as the ILO, are all located in Geneva, and they're located in one section in Geneva, which is really great. And 40% of the residents are international, as I mentioned before as well. So again, a very international community. You obviously have the Indian consulate as well over here, Indian representatives at the UN, speaking on behalf of India at these different forums. So a very, very international city indeed. So there's a lot that happens in terms of career support. As Rebecca mentioned, and as you know, Geneva doesn't offer a stay back option. Now, every student is not going to feel comfortable about it, but if a student is really keen on Geneva, what I would suggest is that if they really want a stay back option, the number one option is to start off in Geneva for the first semester. I think it really allows a student to get well settled into the business school, because it's a smaller campus. You get more personalized attention. The visa process is a lot faster. Geneva is the place where they can start off with, and obviously they can continue their program, and they can transfer campuses to either Munich or Barcelona for their second and third semester, where they can get a stay back option. So my team will help with the transfer process in Geneva, but the major thing that you as counselors will have to do is support them on the Swiss visa application. So that's one option. Another option for students from a career support perspective is there are a lot of internships available in Geneva. Students can really be able to get a sponsorship by a company into the city. But I think the main requirement for students to do that is the French. Is the language French. So if the student has gotten an internship and they really ace the internship, sometimes the language becomes a barrier, because the student has done individualistic work during the internship purely in English, and has been reported to one person. But when it comes to a full-time job, the company needs to know that you can interact with other colleagues and other departments and really make it work. And to make it work, students will have to have French as their language on their resume. So I would say at least a B1 or a B2 level of French is really important and necessary. Even though we start off with an A1 and A2 level of French on campus, I think it's important for students to finish that before they arrive in Geneva and continue with a B1 and B2 level once they arrive on campus, in order to be able to secure that job in Geneva, because it is possible as long as the student is determined and doesn't lose hope. A salary range after graduation would be anywhere between 60 to 150,000 euros on a yearly annual basis. And that happens through obviously our, a lot of our, I would say, joint ventures with companies. So we've had a lot of, I would say, association with the UN, with, businesses like L'Occitane, for example, Nestle, P&G, Gavi. A lot of my classmates actually got, I would say, consulting jobs with Gavi as well. Some of them got internship and job opportunities with the UN. So there are definitely opportunities that are available because of the kind of network that EU Business School has. We take students for visits to UEFA. We sponsor events like I Work in Sports, which is a huge event that happens every year in the city of Lausanne, which is about 2 hours away from Geneva. And what is great about this event is that you have, a different international sports organizations coming and talking to students about the job opportunities. So you have FIBA, for example, UEFA, FIFA. You also have different sports organizations, the World Economic Forum. We actually have a sector of the World Economic Forum that happens at our Geneva campus every year. Tiffany & Co, of course, Nestle, Clopard, you have the radio television Swiss. We also sponsored the TED Talks that happened in Geneva on a yearly basis, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, Rolex. And we also know the chairman of Rolex as well. And he's come onto campus and he's spoken to our students. And he's also the director of the LVMH group, which includes Louis Vuitton as a brand. So what we really help students do is build a professional online identity, which includes LinkedIn, Glassdoor, Indeed, and basically help them with exclusive internship offers. This is an interesting aspect because of our connections and because of our deep-rooted network in Europe. There are some companies that approach our career counseling department and are able to offer exclusive internship opportunities only to EU Business School students, which means that it is only our students that are really fighting for the internship opportunities, and it is not really open to the market. So if they find a student that can do an internship from EU Business School, it doesn't even go out into the market because they've already filled that spot. So this is, I think, a really interesting aspect. We really optimize and tailor your CV. There is an example later on, in the next slide, which really shows, and I'm going to take it to you now, what a CV looked like before and what a European CV is actually supposed to look like. So we really help you tailor it according to European standards, change it according to the jobs that you're applying to. Unlike the Indian job market, you need to adapt your CV, put in the courses that you're doing based on the company and the position that you're applying for, which is something that students aren't even aware of. Editing a cover letter as well and preparing for an interview. Because we allow freshers into our MBA and master students, a lot of students do not know how to give an interview, and we definitely do a mock-up job interview for these students as well. So we have a lot of activities that we participate in. The United Nations Conference Change the World, which happens in New York every year, is one of them, and we do participate in it as well as a lot of travel that we do. We do ski trips, we do travels to different countries, and we had the annual career fair in Barcelona, for example, which had companies like Swiss, ITA, United Nations, Bloomberg, Accenture, PTC, PwC. The good thing is that these career fairs are also happening in Geneva. So, the HR directors of these companies will fly into Geneva, talk to our students, and definitely offer them with jobs. In terms of, I would say, the automobile sector, we also have the Geneva Auto Show that happens every year in the month of March or April, in a huge exhibition center called Pelexpo. So you have people from all around the world coming for a month to Geneva to really explore the new cars that different automobile companies have, to sit in them, to get a feel of them. And it is definitely a buzz in the town when that happens. So yeah, the International Sports Career Fair in Lausanne that we sponsored this year definitely had these companies, IMG, PwC, FIFA, NBA, FIFA World Cup, Adidas, and the International Olympic Company as well. So FIFA actually has its headquarters based out of Zurich, which is in the northern side of Switzerland, and it is about a 3-hour train drive from Geneva as well. So there are certain things when planning sending a student to Geneva. Of course, you have to send me the application file with the student's documents. The students pay an advanced tuition fee to confirm their seat. They get a final offer letter and they apply for their visa. The visa procedure is, it's not taxing. Mostly students have all the documents that are required by the Swiss embassy in order to apply for the visa. The only thing is that students will have to travel to New Delhi to apply for the Swiss visa, because that is the only place where they accept applications for long-term visas. So once the file is submitted, Rebecca and my colleague Nadia have good connections with the OCP, which is the approving body for a visa in Geneva. And they will follow up after 4 weeks on the application and can give you timely updates about how long the visa process is going to take. But ideally speaking, students take not anywhere more than 4 to 6 weeks to get a Swiss student visa in hand. Once the student gets an approval, the student can go with their passport to any of the nearest VFS centers and get their visa stamped for the long-term visa. Of course, we are in a country based outside the EU, so the visa will be stamped for a period of only 3 months, and the admissions office will provide them with support and with the forms to be filled out in order to get what we call a student permit card. If a student plans on transferring to another campus post completion of the first semester, they will have to start their procedure once they land in Switzerland. So they will have to contact the admissions department. They will have to make them aware that they want to transfer to either Munich or to Barcelona, and the admissions department or the academic department will get on this process right away. For Munich, students will still need the blocked account to be created in order to transfer between campuses. Apart from that, you have the resident permit. So the admissions department will guide you through this process in order to apply for the permit, and this allows students to definitely travel throughout the EU during their stay and their studies in Geneva. The language spoken obviously is French, but having lived in Switzerland, I can tell you that it is very deceiving, because a lot of people do speak English, and that is when students think it's not important to learn French. Because of the international community, I would say about 80 to 85% of the people living in Geneva do speak English. What students really need to get, I think, acclaim to is 2 things. One is the punctuality in Switzerland, and the second is everything is closed very early in Geneva or in Switzerland. So your trams, your trains, the buses are run very smoothly and they're very on time. Most students prefer to walk it out because it's a short distance. Geneva is a very small city. And you can walk it especially from the residence to the campus. Our main residence has a Coop, which is a supermarket, one of the main supermarkets. You have Aldi, you have Coop, Migros, Dene, and Coop is actually right below the residence. So students can, come from university, they can pick up their groceries, and they can go up to their apartment as well as cook their meal for the night and for the afternoon next day as well. Most stores close at 7 in the evening, and it is only on Saturday and Thursday when stores remain open till 9 p.m. in the night. The summers can get really hot in Geneva. From June to August. There are summers where it has touched 40 degrees in Geneva, so it can get extremely hot. The winters are very, I would say, survivable in Geneva. The good thing is that you have low wind speeds, which keeps the temperature normalized. And I think the lowest it can dip to in Geneva is about -5. And that too in the night between 12 to 5. But the day temperatures are pretty normal and something that students can adjust to easily. Mailbox and postbox is obviously part of the residence agreement. And in terms of cultures, as I mentioned, we have France, and you have the fondue from France, and as well as raclette, and of course a lot of chocolate and cheese. So ideally, in terms of a shared accommodation, we value it at about 1,840 euros per month, a total of which would be about 16,960 euros. Having said that, there are cheaper accommodations that are available for students, which can range anywhere between, I would say, about 700 to €1,000. The only thing with these accommodations is that the kitchen, the bathroom, and the toilet will be shared among the students. Students will have to apply in advance for these kind of accommodations. So I'm talking about 4 months in advance. So if a student is going in for October, ideally he or she should be applying by the beginning of June in order to get accommodation at a rate of €700 to €800, wherein they'll have their individual room, but their bathroom, toilet, and their kitchen will be shared. Private accommodation sounds about right. You get it for about 2,500. In our residence, we do have accommodations that can sometimes be about €2,100 for a single accommodation, which includes their own private bathroom and toilet as well as their kitchen. In shared accommodation at our residence, we have the room, which is private, including a private bathroom and toilet, but the kitchen is shared. So it's like a shared flat concept, really. So this is our accommodation, as I was mentioned. So COP is the supermarket is located to the left, and this is the accommodation building. This is what I would say a shared accommodation looks like a single bed, a desk, and then the bathroom and toilet is definitely available as well in the room. And yeah, there are other agencies that we've been working with for years on end, Netilac, Home Sweet Home, Home Enhancement, that provide furnished private accommodations as well in Geneva. And we'll be happy to provide students with the support when it comes to the accommodation. So this is the different, I would say, student residences, but Residence des Alpes, Residence des Penates is really the two residencies which have the low budget for students, like 850 or €700 as well. The Residence Gestrim, which is our main residence, is slightly more expensive as compared to the other ones. A lot of activities, of course. Halloween welcome drinks is a must every semester. The Christmas ball, snowshoeing, so that's basically the ski as well, which happens every winter. So yeah, a lot of activities that happen on campus and a very, very vibrant student life. So that is it from me, and I would be happy to take any questions about EU Business School, especially the Geneva campus. But if you have questions about the other campuses as well, please feel free to ask me.
Thank you so much, Shanice, for this wonderful presentation. First of all, I would say.
Thank you so much. So yes, there were some questions in the chat box which I would like to answer. I have a question which is regarding the visits by, oops, 1 second, it's come to the side. Okay, visits for executives and directors to EU Business School. Definitely. So we have what we call the Learning from Leaders series, wherein we have directors and executives of different companies coming over onto campus to talk to our students. Again, because Geneva is such a small campus, it's easier for students to interact with these people. Just drop in a visiting card to these executives and directors. But yes, this happens at least once in 2 weeks at our campus. We have lectures with them, as well as students get to network with them at the end of the session. So we have masterclasses that are available that happens on, I would say, once in 3 months. So we recently had a masterclass on ChatGPT, and it is open for all our students, be it potential students who are considering EU, as well as students on campus can attend these sessions. And we, depending on I would say, the traction that we get from students, if the course is really good, we definitely try and introduce the course in the following years as well, because it's gained a lot of traction among our students. So I did not mention the bachelor and the master's intakes, which is my apologies for that. So we have the bachelor's intakes, which is the February, June, August, and the October intake. And we have the master's intakes, which are January, March, and October. So the next intake for both the programs, so we have a June and August for bachelor's. So bachelor's would be ideal for August, and for master's and MBA, it would be the October intake. We do not offer STEM, and we offer we don't offer STEM or non-STEM programs actually. Um, EU Business School is a private funded institution. So we're a private institution based out of Geneva.
Shanice, do you have any scholarship options for the international students? Maybe you can, inform them if you have.
Sorry, you got cut off a bit, Himali. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, do you have any scholarship availabilities, for the international students?
Yeah, so we do have scholarships available. We have passed the deadline for the scholarship, to be very honest. But having said that, we can still try and push for Switzerland. I'll also take you through the Geneva tuition fee structure. But ideally, we have a merit-based scholarship, which is based on the students' grades. It's based on students' IELTS or TOEFL results, and based on that, we can grant the student a scholarship anywhere between 10 to 20%. So far, we've granted a maximum of about 15% scholarship for students. Another option is the ambassador-based scholarship, which is a flat €2,000 off on the yearly tuition fees. So I'll just share the tuition fee structure with you really quickly. Yeah. So we're looking at approximately about €28,980 for a year of bachelor's, which is inclusive of 2 semesters. For the masters, we're looking at €32,340 for a master's program, 1 year, 3 semesters. And for an MBA program, we're looking at €39,750 for 3 semesters, which is inclusive in 1 year.
So Shanice, will this be advanced tuition fee? Will it be included in the tuition
Yeah,
fees?
the
or it
advanced
is
tuition fee
separate?
will be included in that. That's for
Okay.
sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So ideally speaking, in terms of paid or unpaid internships, most of the internships are paid. However, students are hell-bent on doing internships with international organizations, then those internships can be unpaid.
And once they get the admission, they need to pay just the deposit or the first semester tuition fees as well. Maybe you can, explain them in short.
Yeah, so basically, the students can pay just the deposit, but we would suggest for the visa success rate, the students to pay the deposit of €3,200 plus the first semester tuition fee, so that the visa success rate is better. We have a 98% visa success rate when it comes to Switzerland. But another important aspect with the Swiss visa is that the students need to have approximately an equivalent of 30,000 Swiss francs in their bank account, approximately about 25 lakhs in their bank account or in their sponsor's bank account while filing for the visas.
Okay, thank you, Shanice. And this
Yeah.
deposit will be refundable, right? In case of visa refusal.
In case of 2 visa refusals, it will be refundable.
In case of 2 visa refusals, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And what will be the approximately application deadlines for the fall intake?
So there's no real deadline. The good thing about Geneva is that you can put in like a last minute application even in July, and there is a high possibility of students getting their visas by October. If they put in their applications by July as well to the Swiss Embassy, they can. So we're on a rolling admission. There's no deadline, Himali, as you know. We will continue to accept applications, but of course, it's in the student's best interest. The earlier they apply, the better it is, especially from an accommodation standpoint.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there is one question for you.
Yes, 1 second. Just a second, sorry. Okay, so we have, what about PR? So PR is available after 5, I would say about Switzerland, slightly more, about 8 years. However, if a student is doing a consultant job, then that is not counted towards their years of being in Geneva. So the student has to get sponsored by a proper MNC, and has to get a full-time, working contract with a company in order to spend X number of years as well as get a PR in Switzerland.
Yeah, so I think someone named Nara, she's asking about the academic requirements for UG and PG.
Oh, so the academic requirements will be about 55 plus in both UG for UG and for PG. So in the 12th grade as well as the bachelor's degree.
So Shanice, in case, if they don't have any of the English language test, then
Yeah.
it will be possible to give you own English test, right?
No, we don't allow that for any of our campuses anymore. The
Okay,
Duolingo
initially it
will
was
have to be
there, I
done.
think. Yeah.
Yes, but not anymore.
Okay, so mandatory they need to show any of the tests.
Exactly.
Okay. MOI won't be acceptable.
No.
Medium of
MOI
instruction.
the MOI won't be acceptable. No, we can ask Rebecca again about the MOI, but
Okay.
yeah, we'll have to look at it.
Yeah, maybe we can see
Um,
case by case.
Yeah, I really don't know why the malls are open on Thursday. I think it's somewhat midweek to a large extent because Sunday malls are closed. There are no malls as such in Geneva, but there are a lot of supermarkets and a lot of individual stores. But it's only on the main shopping street in Geneva, wherein the stores are opened till 9 o'clock, and the city is buzzing till 9 o'clock. Otherwise, yeah, 7:30, everything seems slightly dead, if you ask me. But nonetheless, students, however, find their way to have their own fun, to meet up. There are obviously a lot of pubs and restaurants and coffee shops that are open till the wee hours of the morning, where students can hang out, as well as the residencies as well. The best courses in Switzerland, I would say finance, international relations, international business, owing to leisure and tourism management, another very good course, considering the tourism in Switzerland. These are the three top courses, I would say, especially for my Indian students that that go to Switzerland. The gap is accepted for UG and PG as long as students have work experience during the gap years. No work experience is required for the MBA program. The academic gap of Praveen is acceptable for sure, as long as the students have been working, studying, doing a certification program. It is definitely acceptable.
Shani, is any age limit for the bachelor's applications?
Any age limit for the bachelor's applications? No. I would say maybe about 30, 35.
Okay.
And the MBA would be about 40.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yeah, so someone is asking about the short-term courses.
We don't have any real short-term courses available in Switzerland. We just have the bachelor's, the master's, and the MBA program. However, we do have a summer program that is offered at the Barcelona campus, which is the business bootcamp program or the international summer school program. There is an age limit as for the financial requirement. So the financial requirement for Geneva for the visa procedure, as I mentioned, is 30,000 Swiss francs, which is approximately about 27 to 28 lakhs in Indian rupees. That should be in the sponsor's bank account. Yeah, that should be in the sponsor's bank account. And the age limit, as I mentioned, for bachelor's could be about 30, for master's MBA could be about 40. So any other questions?
Yeah. So I think most of the queries had already been sorted out. So then
Yes.
if they have any, then definitely we'll get back to you, Shanice.
Yes, Himal, you can get back to me. We do not have any medicine courses, unfortunately. We're a business school.
Okay, Shanice, can you please do this presentation as well, so it will be good for, our point of view, so we can share it to our associates in case if they
Definitely,
want further
I will do that.
preparations.
I will do that for sure.
Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much for attending, everyone. And if you have any queries about Switzerland, do get in touch with me. It would be really, really incentivizing to promote the Switzerland campus, the Geneva campus specifically. But yes, if you have any potential students, please do get in touch with me. Take care. Thank you and have a great
Thank you
evening
so
ahead.
much, Shanice, once again.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.